Welcome to the Pioneer Math Classroom. Have you ever wondered how an equation turns into a graph? In this lesson, you'll learn a simple four-step process for graphing any linear equation written in slope-intercept form. By the end of this lesson, you'll know exactly where to start and how to graph a line with confidence. Our goal is to graph a linear equation by identifying the slope and the y-intercept, plotting our starting point, using the slope to find another point, and drawing the completed line. Let's begin with the parts of the equation. Slope-intercept form is represented by the equation y equals mx plus b. The variable m represents the slope, which tells us the steepness of the line. The variable b represents the y-intercept, which tells us where the line crosses the y-axis. Once we've identified these two pieces, we're ready to graph. The relationship between the slope and the y-intercept helps us to connect an equation to its graph. Let's use the equation y equals 2/3 x minus 3 as an example of a linear equation we want to graph. The first step is to identify the slope and the y-intercept. In this example, the slope is 2/3 and the y-intercept is -3. Now let's graph the y-intercept, which represents our starting point. The y-intercept of our equation is -3, which is represented on a coordinate plane by the point 0, -3. Every equation written in slope-intercept form begins on the y-axis, so the y-intercept will always be our starting point. Next, we'll use the slope to find another point on the line. The slope of 2/3 means we move up 2 units and right 3 units from our starting point. Following this rise and run gives us a second point on the graph. Once we've plotted 2 points, it's time to draw a straight line through them. Extend the line in both directions with arrows to show that it continues forever and represents all possible solutions to the equation. Slope-intercept form can be used to model plenty of real-world scenarios as well. Imagine a ride-sharing service like Lyft or Uber that charges a $3 booking fee plus $2 for every mile traveled. The $3 booking fee is the initial value because it represents the amount you pay before traveling any distance. $2 per mile is the rate of change, otherwise known as the slope, because it tells us how the total cost increases with each additional mile. Recognizing the initial value and the rate of change helps us write, graph, and interpret linear equations in real-world situations. Let's take a moment and review the 4 steps for graphing. First, identify the slope and the y-intercept. Next, plot the y-intercept. Then, use the slope to find another point. Finally, draw a straight line through the 2 points. Following these 4 steps will help you graph any equation written in slope-intercept form. Great job! My hope is that you've gained a better understanding of how to graph an equation in slope-intercept form. Keep practicing these 4 steps with a variety of equations and you'll be able to graph linear equations quickly and confidently. Thanks for watching.